Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Scanners, and this movie is directed by David Cronenberg, and it came out in 1981, and I thought this movie was great, and I really loved the tone of this film, and what it was offering story-wise, and there's a bit of elements that are like, you could consider as like commentary, I guess, and lots of themes going on in this movie that I really enjoyed, and the music was good in this movie as well, composed by Howard Shore, and I thought the music was good in this movie. And I like the characters in this movie also a lot. I find them to be very interesting, and the directions the story goes, I also really like, and I like how in this universe there's people and scanners, and they establish what they can do pretty easily, and they don't dive deep into what their powers are specifically. It's more or less kind of vague, and in a way that kind of makes it scary as to like what they're capable of, and I think that's also kind of the point. And also the way that the scanners were treated in this movie kind of reminded me of the replicants from Blade Runner, and that was 82 and a year after this movie. And I'm not going to say that Blade Runner ripped this movie off in terms of ideas, because I believe Blade Runner was based on a book which came out in the 60s, I believe. And I thought that acting was really good in this movie, and I'm not really familiar with any of these actors in particular, but no one stood out to me as bad, and I really enjoyed the ride that this movie was offering. There were some great practical effects in this movie, and there's some body horror elements to this movie for sure. That's kind of like what David Cronenberg is known for. A little bit of body horror that was in The Fly, and to some extent Shivers, which I've only seen once, but still, that's what he's known for, and or at least what I know him for. And it's not in every scene where there's body horror. There's little bits of it here and there, and I feel as though it's done sparingly to the point where it doesn't feel like a Saw film, where it's like so much to the point where it's kind of difficult to take it seriously. And the directions the story went had some surprises for me that I didn't expect. And honestly, once we got to the end of the film, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting and somewhat satisfying now that we're here. And this movie is pretty well shot, and you can see everything clearly. I never once felt unintentionally claustrophobic or felt like I was desperate for a wide shot to see the location. Like, none of that ever happened, and there's good shots in this movie, although I will say, like, nothing visually striking. It looks good, for sure, don't get me wrong. But there's not really too much for me to say about it in terms of, like, shots that really stuck with me and are super memorable, in my opinion. This movie is also kind of a slow burn. It does take its time. Some people might consider this movie boring, and I totally understand that. And this is not necessarily a movie for everyone. I get that about it. I can easily see people being bored by this, like I've said already, but if you don't mind a slower paced film, then I think this is something you'll enjoy. And there are some issues I have with this movie. There are some elements that felt a bit random and out of place, as if they had no rhyme or reason for it, but that might have been the case because I was taking notes, and I might have been taking notes at the wrong time or something. That might have happened. And there were a couple of stupid things, like, for instance, a car exploded when it crashed, but, like, the way it was shown was like, did it hit something? Was there a bomb in there or something? It just one hit and then the car exploded. I was like, I don't know about that. But overall, I thought this movie was great, and it sold me what I like in movies. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, then check it out. Because I think it's worth your time, and it's currently on Max if you want to check it out, and it should be pretty easy for you to find, and I don't really have much else to say about it. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Scanners an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Scanners, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Revenge of the Pink Panther. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.